There is something I want you to listen to very carefully right now. Not because it is easy to hear, but because it might change the way you look at your life. Most failures in life do not come from a lack of intelligence. They do not come from a lack of opportunity. And they do not come from a lack of talent. They come from something far more dangerous. Excuses. Those excuses sound very reasonable. They sound smart. Sometimes they even sound correct. I'm too busy. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. My situation is different. If you listen to them long enough, you will start to believe them. And that is exactly when excuses become your invisible prison. There is a quote I always remember. Someone once said, "Excuses sound very good to the person who makes them, but they rarely create results." Think about this very honestly. Every time you delay something important, your mind immediately creates a story, a reason, an explanation, something that makes the delay feel justified. That is not weakness. That is how the brain works. Your brain is designed to protect comfort. If there is a choice between effort and rest, it will always try to pull you toward the easier path. But there is a very big problem. Life does not reward comfort. It rewards action. A man named Kevin once shared a very simple story. For many years, he dreamed of starting his own small business. He had the idea. He had the skills. He even wrote a business plan. But every year passed and he stayed in the same job. Whenever friends asked why he had not started yet, he always had a very reasonable answer. The market is not stable yet. I need more savings. I need to learn a few more skills. Those reasons sounded completely reasonable. Until one evening, when he sat alone and realized something very uncomfortable. He had been saying those excuses for 5 years. Nothing had changed, except that time had passed. That moment made him realize a very simple truth. Excuses do not only delay action, they also make you feel as if you're making progress, when in reality you are standing still. A philosopher once said that human beings have a very special ability. We can deceive ourselves with very reasonable stories. You say you will start when you have more time, but when time appears, you find another reason. You say you will start when you feel more confident, but confidence rarely comes before action. It comes after action. There is a story I once heard from a sports coach. He said that most athletes do not fail because they are weaker than others. They fail because they always find a reason to stop just a little earlier. I'm a bit tired today. I'll train less today. It's okay if I rest today. Those small decisions do not destroy you immediately, but they accumulate over time. And after months or years, they create a very large gap. The gap between the person you could become and the person you are now. One interesting thing about excuses is that they usually appear at the most important moments. When you are about to do something difficult, when you are about to step outside your comfort zone, when you are about to change your life, that is when your mind begins working very hard. Not to help you succeed, but to help you feel comfortable. It says things like, wait a little longer, prepare a little more, wait for a better time. But the truth is that the perfect time almost never appears. An entrepreneur once said something very direct. If you wait for everything to be perfect before you start, you will wait your entire life. There is a moment when everyone must face a very difficult question. Do you want to keep believing your excuses, or do you want to change your life? Because you cannot have both. A man named Daniel once experienced that moment. After years of delaying improvements to his health, he received a warning from his doctor. Nothing extremely serious, but serious enough to make him think. The doctor told him something very simple. If you do not change your habits, a few years from now, things will become much harder. That day, Daniel realized he had been using the same excuse for years. I'm too busy. But the truth was that he was not too busy. He had simply become used to choosing the easy path. The next day, he started walking for 20 minutes. Not a big plan, not a complete transformation, just one small action. And the interesting thing was that once he started taking action, many of his excuses began to disappear. Because action has a very special power. It breaks the stories your mind creates. But the problem is that most people do not realize something important. The most dangerous excuses are not the ones you tell other people. They are the ones you tell yourself. And in the next part, we will talk about how these excuses are created inside your mind and why they are so powerful. There is something very interesting about excuses. They rarely appear as obvious lies. They usually appear as very reasonable thoughts. That is exactly why they are so dangerous. You do not tell yourself that you are avoiding something. You tell yourself that you are waiting for a better time. You do not say that you are afraid of failure. You say that you need more preparation. You do not say that you are lazy. You say that you need rest. Those statements sound normal, but if you observe them closely, you will notice something. They always lead to the same result. You do not take action. A psychologist once said that the human brain has a very special mechanism. It constantly tries to protect the image you have of yourself. If you believe that you are a responsible person, your brain will try to explain all of your behavior in a way that supports that belief. Even when you are procrastinating, even when you are avoiding something. So instead of saying, "I'm afraid," your brain creates a different story. "I just need more time." There is a story that feels very familiar to many people. A man named Thomas always said he wanted to write a book. He had great ideas. His friends believed he could do it. But year after year, the book remained only in his mind. Every time someone asked about it, he had a reason. "Work is too busy. My family needs my time. I don't have enough focus yet." Those reasons were partly true, but they were not the whole truth. One evening, Thomas read a sentence that made him think for a long time. A writer once said that most books are never written because their authors are waiting for a perfect day. That sentence made him realize something very uncomfortable. He did not truly lack time. He lacked the courage to begin. Because when you begin something important, you face a very big risk. Failure. If you never begin, you can keep an illusion. The illusion that you could do it if you really tried. But when you start, that illusion disappears. You have to face reality. And reality is sometimes difficult. That is exactly why excuses have such great power. They protect you from the uncomfortable feeling of failure, but at the same time, they prevent you from moving forward. A coach once said something very direct. If you always find reasons not to start, you are protecting your emotions by sacrificing your future. Think about that. Every time you delay something important, you choose the comfort of the present over the possibility of the future. A woman named Laura experienced this when she wanted to change her career. She worked at a large company, stable salary, but she always felt like she was living a life that was not truly hers. She wanted to learn a new skill and move into another field. But every time she thought about starting, a series of thoughts appeared. "It's too late for me. I'm not good enough. Other people are surely better." Those thoughts sounded realistic. But one day, Laura realized something. Those thoughts were not helping her move forward. They were only helping her stay in the same place while feeling safer. So she tried something very simple. Instead of arguing with the excuses in her mind, she simply acted. She studied for 30 minutes every day. No big plan, no pressure, just 30 minutes. The first weeks were very difficult, not because the learning was hard, but because her mind constantly tried to convince her to stop. It's okay to skip today. I'm tired today. I'm busy today. But every time she continued, even for a few more minutes, something small began to change. The excuses slowly began to lose their power. Because when you act long enough, you begin to realize something very simple. Most of the reasons that stop you from starting are not as powerful as you think. They only exist because you have never challenged them. A philosopher once said that action has the power to break illusions. When you step onto the difficult path, you begin to see clearly what is real and what is only fear. But there is one thing you must understand if you want to break the cycle of excuses. Excuses will not disappear completely. They will always return, especially on the days when you are tired, the days when you fail, the days when you doubt yourself. So the real question is not how to eliminate excuses. The real question is how to stop listening to them. And in the next part, we will talk about how ordinary people break the cycle of excuses and begin to take control of their lives. There is a moment that most people experience at least once in their lives. That moment is usually very quiet. No one else is around. There is no applause. There is only you and your own thoughts. It is when you begin to realize something very uncomfortable. That most of the things holding you back are not your circumstances, not other people, but the stories you have been repeating in your mind for years. A man named Ryan once described such a moment. For many years, he always said he had no time to improve himself. Work was busy, family was busy, life was busy. But one evening after coming home, he sat down in a chair and instinctively opened his phone. He scrolled through social media, 10 minutes. Then 20 minutes. Then an hour passed. When he finally put the phone down, a very simple thought appeared in his mind. I just said I don't have time, but I just wasted an hour. That moment did not make him feel guilty. It made him feel awake. Because for the first time he saw the truth without any excuse covering it. A coach once said that real change begins when you stop arguing with the truth. You do not need to hate yourself. You only need to look honestly at your choices. Ryan decided to try something very small, not to change his entire life, just to change one rule. Whenever he heard an excuse in his mind, he asked one very simple question. Is this actually true? Or is it just something that makes me feel more comfortable? That question changed the way he saw everything. When he said he was too tired to exercise, he realized that sometimes it was simply laziness. When he said he had no time, he began to examine how he used his time. Not every excuse is wrong, but many excuses exist, only because they have never been questioned. An entrepreneur once said something very direct. Your life changes on the day you stop accepting your own excuses. The interesting thing is that when you begin doing this, you do not become perfect. You still have tired days. You still have days when you procrastinate. But one thing begins to change. You notice it faster. And when you notice it, you have a chance to correct it. A woman named Natalie experienced this when she decided to change her habits. For many years, she always said she was not the type of person who had discipline. She believed some people were born strong, and she was not one of them. But one day, she heard a sentence that made her think for a long time. A coach once said that discipline is not a personality trait. Discipline is a series of decisions. That idea was very simple, but it changed the way Natalie saw herself. If discipline is a decision, then it means she can begin today. She did not need to become a completely different person. She just needed to make a different decision. She started with something very small. Every day she completed one task she usually avoided. Just one. Some days it was cleaning her room. Some days it was exercising. Some days it was finishing a difficult task at work. Those actions were not big, but they created a very interesting effect. Every time Natalie completed a difficult task, she felt a little more confident. Not loud confidence, but a quiet feeling that said, I can do this. A philosopher once said that people do not change their lives through rare, dramatic decisions. We change our lives through small choices, repeated every day. But there is one thing you must understand if you truly want to break your excuses. You must accept a very simple truth. There will always be a reason not to do the hard thing. Always. It is too hot. It is too cold. You are too tired. You are too busy. You are not ready. That list can go on forever. So strong people do not try to find a day without reasons. They simply decide that the reasons no longer matter. And when you begin to live that way, something very powerful starts to happen. You begin to realize that most of the limits in your life were never real. They were only stories. Stories that you can choose to stop believing. And in the final part, we will talk about the most important moment in this journey. The moment when you no longer need to fight your excuses, because you have become the kind of person who no longer lives by them. There is a very special moment in a person's journey of change. That moment is not loud. There are no fireworks. No one is standing around clapping. But if you pay attention, you will notice it. It is the moment when you begin to realize that your Excuses no longer have the same power over you. Before, all it took was a small thought appearing in your mind. I'm tired today. I'll rest a little. I can do it later. And you would listen to it, without thinking much, without questioning it. But one day, something begins to change. The familiar voice still appears. But this time, you don't immediately believe it. You pause, you look at that thought, and you ask a very simple question. Is this actually true, or is it just a habit? That moment is very small, but it is a sign of a big transformation. Because when you begin to question your excuses, you begin to take your control back. A man named Marcus once experienced a moment like this when he decided to change his life. For many years, he believed he was not the kind of person who could stay consistent. He tried many things, but he always stopped halfway. He once believed that was simply his personality, until one day he heard a sentence that made him think for a long time. A coach once said, "You do not become a strong person by thinking differently. You become a strong person by acting differently long enough." Marcus began with one simple rule: do not negotiate with important things. If he decided to do something, he did it. No arguing with his mind. No waiting for inspiration. No waiting for motivation. Just action. The first few weeks were difficult because his mind was still used to the old way. It still tried to create reasons. I can skip today. I'll do it tomorrow. But every time Marcus continued, something slowly began to change. The gap between thinking and acting became shorter. Before, when something difficult appeared, he would think about it for a long time. Now he simply started. A philosopher once said that people become what they repeatedly do, not what they dream about, not what they plan, but what they actually do. When you repeat disciplined actions long enough, something interesting begins to happen. You no longer have to force yourself as much, because that action has become part of who you are. An athlete once said, "At first you force yourself, then you get used to it, and eventually you cannot live without it." That is when excuses truly begin to lose their power. Not because they disappear. They still show up, but they no longer decide the direction of your life. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first version always waits for the perfect moment, always waits for inspiration, always waits for things to become easier. The second version understands that life is rarely perfect, but still starts, still continues, still moves forward. Every day, you are choosing between those two versions, not with big speeches, but with very small actions. You get out of bed, or you hit the snooze button. You start the difficult task, or you delay it a little longer. You train, or you say you'll start tomorrow. Those moments may seem small, but over time they create an enormous difference. One day, you will look back and realize that your life did not change because of one dramatic decision. It changed because you stopped believing your own excuses. And when that happens, something very powerful appears. You no longer feel like a victim of circumstances. You no longer feel stuck because you understand something very clearly. Your life always begins to change the moment you stop making excuses.